Yo, so today I'm going to show you how to do the eye transition effect in Final Cut Pro. So import your eye clip that you're going to use to do the transition with, and then come down to the effects, to the masks section, and you want draw mask. Click and drag that onto the clip, and then you come to the point where the eye just starts to open. So for me that would be just right there. Then you want to zoom in a bit, so I'll go to about 100%, and then you can grab this bit, this little icon here, to move it where you prefer to have it, and then just click back on here again. And then oh, I'm on transition for some reason, why, so get rid of that. Not transition, transform I mean. So now you should see like a little draw pen. So what we're going to do is just draw around this eye, but make sure you have plenty of points, because obviously the eye is going to open up and get bigger, which means we need to stretch out the mask. So the more points, the better and cleaner the mask will look. Don't worry about getting completely around the edge, because we are going to feather the mask so it's a bit smoother. So don't have to get it completely perfect, because once you do the feather it actually increases the size of the mask. And that's that. So once you've done the complete circle, or it's not really a circle but anyway, you get something like this. So you want to invert it, and then you want to go onto the transform and the control points, and you want to add a keyframe on the position and the control points. So whenever if you ever move the mask around, which we will be doing to track the movement of it, and also for the control points, when you move the control points, that will automatically keyframe them in from now on. So when you go to the next frame across, we're then basically just stretching it out around the outline of the eye. It's quite a tedious process, but it's definitely worth it for the results. So I'm just going to speed this up because it's quite boring to watch. So once you get to a point where you've basically got your rough shape, you don't really need to play about with the control points anymore. You're just going to be moving the position. So I want to add a keyframe on there. Once you move the position, that automatically adds a keyframe. So just keep basically tracking where the eye is. And then for example there, I'm not really going to bother, well actually I will move it, but sometimes with points where you don't really need to move it, like their example, there's like no difference. So what I'm going to do is I just click on here to add a keyframe for the position, because otherwise if you don't add a keyframe and you go a few frames across, it will still be moving in between the two keyframes. So you want to make sure you're adding a keyframe on every single frame. Okay, so I'm going to go roughly around here, because the transition we're going to do is going to take roughly 1 second. I mean, you can do it faster or slower depending on the speed you want, but I think it looks decent at 1 second. So if I just play back through what we've got currently, you'll see that. And now to fix the issue at the beginning, you're going to go to where the first keyframe is. So the first keyframe is there, as you can see over here. So go before you go one before it, on the fill opacity, add a keyframe, then the keyframe before it, change that to 0 so you don't see it. Like so. So I'll just play through that, see what we're working with. So it's not bad, it's alright, it could be better, but it's just a tutorial, so I'm not going to be perfect on it. Now I'm going to zoom back to fit the screen. I'm just going to play with a feather. So actually I need to zoom back in to see what I'm working with here. So go around there, go to the feather, and basically just softens the edges around. So about there looks pretty good. Just play that through. yeah, pretty spot on. So once we've done that, go back to zoom back out again, and then we're going to add our second clip that's going to be underneath. So let me just get to a point, about there will do. Whack that underneath, so now that will play underneath the clip. So what we need to do now is actually zoom into the eye. So what I'm going to do is, right when he just opens his eye, we're going to go click on the eye mask, scroll down, and we're going to come to the transform section. Actually, so no we're not. What we're going to do is, there's a better way to do this. I'm going to zoom all the way out, probably not too far, back there, 12.5%. Click on the transform tab here. We're going to add a keyframe up here on the transform, and I'm on 1 second 12, so we're going to 2 seconds 12. So that'll be 1 second for the transition, and then I'm just going to scale this up and then move the position, scale up again a bit more, a little bit more, just see a bit in the corners here, so just a tiny bit more. There we go, that would do. And then on the little arrow, just right click on it and make sure smooth is ticked for a nice smooth transition. And then once you're done, just press done, and then we'll go back to fit, and then once we play this through, it's a nice smooth transition through the eye. If you use the scale, that's what I used to do, it's not like a smooth transition, it's quite choppy, so you're actually better off using this transform tool and doing it that way. And the only thing we can do now really is add a directional blur, just to make it a bit more realistic. So come down to the blur section, directional, drag that onto the clip, and then I want the angle to be pointing downwards, because that's what the natural motion would be. And then to come to a point where I want it to start and stop, so that's where it just starts zooming in. So I'm going to add a keyframe before it zooms in, and we'll change the amount to 0%, so there's nothing happening, and then go through a few frames, probably go to about here where you can just see the eye, and then I want to change the amount to full. I mean, you can do whatever you think's best for you, but I like it all the way up so you can actually see the effect happening. So we'll play that through. Looks just like that. So that's basically it. That's the tutorial done. So it's quite an easy tutorial, and it looks pretty cool once you get it nailed down. So yeah, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed the video, and please subscribe and like the video, or subscribe to my channel and like the video. If you've got any questions or anything, just leave them down in the comments section, and I'll do my best to resolve any issues or problems you've got.